It was a Sunday afternoon in October 1986, the kind of perfect California day that makes you understand why people move to Los Angeles and never leave. Blue sky, warm sun, ocean breeze carrying the smell of salt and sunscreen and possibility. Venice Beach was crowded. Families, couples, tourists with cameras, street performers juggling fire and playing drums and doing magic tricks. The boardwalk was alive with color and sound and movement, the chaos of a weekend afternoon by the ocean. Johnny Carson was walking alone. He'd driven from Malibu that morning, needed to get out of the house, needed to be around people without being Johnny Carson. Just walking, watching, breathing. He was wearing jeans, a plain t-shirt, a baseball cap pulled low, sunglasses. Nobody recognized him. Or if they did, they left him alone. Venice Beach had that effect. Everyone was someone, or trying to be someone, or pretending to be no one. One more person in a baseball cap was just part of the landscape. He'd been walking for maybe 20 minutes when he saw him. A young man sitting on a folding stool, an easel in front of him, canvas propped on the easel, painting. Around him on the boardwalk, maybe a dozen paintings leaned against a low wall, displayed for sale. And these paintings were different. Not the usual tourist portraits. These were landscapes, seascapes, animals, and yes, some people, but all of it mixed together. A painting of the Venice Beach pier at sunset, another of seagulls fighting over food, a mountain range, ocean rocks covered in barnacles, an old homeless man feeding pigeons, a dog sleeping in the shade. Everything, anything. The world captured in oil and canvas. Johnny slowed down, stopped. There was something about these paintings. They weren't perfect. They weren't polished gallery art, but they were real, honest, like someone was painting what they saw, not what they thought people wanted to see, just what was there, the truth of it. Johnny moved closer. The young man was painting, focused, working on a painting of the Santa Monica Mountains in the distance, purple and blue and gold, the way they looked from the beach on a clear day. He was maybe 20, maybe 22, short dark hair, a worn flannel shirt with holes in the elbows, faded jeans, old sneakers with the soles coming apart. He had paint on his hands, smudges on his shirt, the look of someone who'd been painting for hours, who painted every day, because that's all there was. Johnny stood there, just watching. The young man's brush moved quickly, confident. He knew what he was doing, knew how to capture light, shadow, the way things actually looked. A woman walked up, tourist, camera around her neck. "How much for this one?" She pointed at the painting of the pier. The young man looked up. $75. "That's a lot for a boardwalk painting." "It's what it costs. Took me 3 days to paint it." The woman walked away. The young man went back to his mountains. Didn't look upset. Didn't chase after her. Just painted. Johnny looked at the paintings again. At the pier. At the mountains. At the seagulls. At the sleeping dog. At the homeless man with pigeons. Each one different. Each one capturing something real. Something true. "Do you only paint on the boardwalk?" Johnny asked. The young man looked up, surprised. "No, I paint everywhere. Wherever I see something worth painting. The beach, the mountains, downtown, anywhere." "And you sell them here?" "Try to. Sometimes people buy, most days they don't, but I paint anyway. Can't not paint, so I might as well try to sell them." "What's your name?" Marcus Chen." "I'm Johnny." If he recognized him, he didn't show it. "You paint a lot of different things," Johnny said. "Most street artists stick to portraits, quick stuff, but you paint everything." Marcus shrugged. "I paint what I see, what interests me. Sometimes it's a face. Sometimes it's a rock. Sometimes it's the way light hits the ocean. I don't see why art has to be just one thing." Johnny nodded, looked at the paintings again. "You went to art school?" "UCLA. Graduated 2 years ago. Everyone said I needed to pick a style, pick a subject, be known for one thing. But I can't do that. The world has too much in it. How can I paint just faces when there are mountains? How can I paint just landscapes when there are people worth remembering? He gestured at the homeless man painting. He feeds those pigeons every day. Nobody notices. But I noticed, so I painted him. And the dog? That dog sleeps in the same spot every afternoon, 3 o'clock, like clockwork. Been doing it for months, so I painted him too. Johnny smiled. This kid, this young painter who saw everything, who thought everything mattered enough to paint. These paintings, Johnny said carefully, have you tried selling them to galleries? Marcus laughed, short, bitter. Yeah, every gallery in LA. You know what they say? Pick a lane. Too scattered. What's your brand? Come back when you focus on one thing. He looked at his paintings. So here they are, on a boardwalk, where people walk past because they want portraits of themselves. Not mountains, not seagulls, themselves. Johnny understood. The system wanted categories, wanted artists who fit in boxes. Portrait painter, landscape painter, animal painter, not someone who painted everything, not someone who refused to choose. Marcus, can I be honest with you? Sure. I think the galleries are wrong. I think the fact that you paint everything, that you see everything as worth capturing, that's not a weakness. That's your strength. Marcus looked at him, really looked. That's kind of you, but it doesn't pay rent. Johnny took off his sunglasses. Marcus's eyes widened. Oh my God, you're Johnny Carson. Yeah. My parents watch your show. They love you. They came from Taiwan 30 years ago. They say you're real, that you don't pretend. Sounds like your parents are smart. They are. My dad's an engineer. My mom's a teacher. They paid for art school, believed in me, even when I can't sell paintings because I won't pick one thing to paint. Johnny made a decision. Marcus, I want to buy some of these. Not all of them, but several. The pier, the mountains, the homeless man, the sleeping dog. 4 of them. How much? Marcus did the math. 300 total? Johnny pulled out his wallet, gave him 500. 500, and I want you to keep painting. Everything. Don't let anyone tell you to pick one thing. The world is everything, so paint everything. Marcus was staring at the money. Mr. Carson, why? Because I recognize something real when I see it. And I'm going to make some calls to people I know, people who might understand what you're doing. Is that okay? Yes, thank you. Give me your number, your address. Someone's going to call you this week. A woman named Margaret Chen. She owns a gallery. Tell her about your work. Show her everything. And Marcus? Yeah? Don't compromise. Don't pick one thing because it's easier. The galleries want you to fit in a box because boxes are easy to sell. But you're not a box. You're a painter who sees everything. That's rare. That matters. Johnny helped him wrap the 4 paintings, carried them to his car, drove to Malibu, and that night he called Margaret Chen. Margaret, I found someone, a young painter, name's Marcus Chen. He's painting on Venice Beach boardwalk. And Margaret, he's different. He paints everything. Landscapes, animals, people, seascapes, everything. And it's all good, all real. That's unusual. Most artists specialize. I know, but this kid hasn't learned to limit himself yet. And maybe he shouldn't. Go see his work, talk to him. And if you can help him without making him compromise, do it. I'll call him tomorrow. Margaret called Monday morning. Tuesday, she drove to Marcus's tiny studio apartment. Saw maybe 40 paintings, mountains, beaches, animals, street scenes, people, everything. She stood there for an hour. Then she spoke. Marcus, the art world wants categories. Portrait painter, landscape painter, wildlife painter. You're all of them. That's going to be hard to sell. Marcus's face fell. But, she continued, Maybe that's the point. Maybe what you're doing is showing people they don't have to choose, that the world contains everything, and if we only look at one thing, we miss the rest. She smiled. I want to try something, a show called Everything. Your paintings, all of them, mixed together, the way you see the world. Can you paint 20 more paintings in 3 months? All different, mountains, people, animals, oceans, cities, everything you see. Marcus nodded, couldn't speak. Margaret continued, I can't promise it'll work. It's unusual. It breaks rules. But I think there are people tired of rules, tired of categories, people who want to see everything. Let's find out if I'm right. Marcus painted for 3 months, 20 new paintings, a Joshua tree in the desert, a woman waiting for a bus, waves crashing on rocks, a hawk circling overhead, a child playing in a fountain, the LA skyline at night, graffiti on a wall, an old man walking a dog, everything. January 1987, Margaret Chen Gallery opened Everything, the World According to Marcus Chen. Opening night was packed. People came expecting portraits or landscapes. Instead, they found both. And animals, and cities, and oceans, and mountains. Everything. The critics were confused at first. What is Marcus Chen? A landscape painter who sometimes paints people? A portraitist who sometimes paints rocks? But then one critic got it. Marcus Chen refuses to be categorized. In doing so, he reminds us that the world refuses to be categorized too. It's everything, all at once, and his paintings capture that truth. The paintings sold. Not all of them, but enough. Within months, Marcus had commissions from people who wanted paintings of their favorite place, their dog, their child, their mountain, their ocean. He never said no. Never said, I only paint people, or I only paint landscapes. He painted everything, because everything mattered. 5 years later, Marcus Chen's work was in 3 museums, not in the landscape section, not in the portrait section, in its own section, the Everything Artist. Shows that mixed everything together, that refused to separate, that showed the world as it actually was. Complicated, mixed, everything at once. Johnny came to the museum opening, stood in front of the first painting he'd bought, the Venice Beach pier. I still have this painting, Marcus said, walking up beside him. You sold it to me. I know, but what I mean is, I still paint it, that pier, every year, October, same time, same place, because it keeps changing. The light changes, the people change, the mood changes, and it's worth painting again. Everything's worth painting again. Johnny looked at Marcus, this young painter who'd been selling paintings on a boardwalk, who was now one of the most interesting artists working, who'd never compromised, never picked one thing. You did it right, Johnny said. You stayed true to seeing everything. Because you told me to. You said don't pick one thing. The world is everything, so paint everything. Marcus is 58 now, still painting everything. Mountains, people, dogs, oceans, birds, cities, rocks, flowers, children, elderly, everything. Museums classify his work as contemporary realism, unclassified. Art students study how he moves between subjects without losing his voice. And in his studio, hanging above his easel, is a photograph. From that Sunday afternoon in October 1986. A street photographer captured it, Marcus at his easel on Venice Beach, surrounded by paintings of everything. And in the background, slightly out of focus, a man in a baseball cap, stopping to look. Every year on that Sunday in October, Marcus goes back to Venice Beach, to the same spot, and he paints, whatever he sees. Sometimes it's people, sometimes it's the ocean, sometimes it's a dog, sometimes it's rocks. He doesn't decide ahead of time, he just shows up with canvas and paints what's there, what's real, what matters. And he doesn't charge, just paints, gives the painting to whoever wants it, because he remembers what it was like, struggling, having galleries tell him to pick one thing, to fit in a box, to compromise. And he remembers the man who stopped, who saw his paintings, who told him not to compromise, who said the world is everything, so paint everything. Johnny Carson died in 2005. Marcus flew to California for the memorial. After the service, he stayed behind, set up an easel, and painted. Not Johnny, not the memorial. He painted the view from the memorial, the trees, the sky, the people walking, the birds, the building, everything that was there in that moment. The painting hangs in his studio now, next to the photograph, a reminder that seeing everything matters, that refusing to choose matters, that the world is too full to limit yourself, that stopping to look at someone's truth matters. That's the thing about art. It's not about being good at one thing. Marcus was good at everything. But that didn't matter until someone saw it, until someone said, yes, this matters. Paint everything. Don't limit yourself. The world needs all of it. Johnny did that, not because he was a hero, but because he stopped, because he looked, really looked, because he saw not just paintings, but a painter who saw everything. Marcus Chen still paints everything, still refuses categories, still believes the world is too full to capture in one type of painting, and every painting is a gift, of witness, of attention, of proof that this mountain, this person, this rock, this bird, this moment mattered. And it all started because one man stopped on a boardwalk, because Johnny Carson saw paintings that didn't fit in boxes, because he recognized that sometimes the refusal to choose is itself a choice, the choice to see everything. The world knows Marcus Chen, the unclassifiable artist, but Marcus knows the truth. He's only here because someone stopped, someone saw, someone said, don't compromise, don't pick one thing, paint everything, and that made all the difference.